Hello, everybody. This is a video that you should watch before you go into Canvas and start working on Kin 376, Introduction to Biomechanics. My name is John Palazzolo. I am a PhD candidate here at UNCG, and I'll be an instructor for this very short semester. The purpose of this video is I'm just going to go through Canvas and the syllabus and schedule and kind of show you how it's structured and what you can do for in this class and how you should go about working in this class. I'll say this at the beginning and end of every video, but if you have any questions, best way to get a hold of me is either through email. My email's on the syllabus or in an announcement that you should have already gotten to. I've created a Slack channel. Use this. It's an instant messaging service. I am a PhD candidate, so I'm almost always in front of a computer. So you might get better response times than that. And use Slack if you have, just a quick question. You don't want to wait through email for it. And I can respond. And if the response doesn't quite fulfill what you need, we can have a small discussion. So let's get started. Before we get into how to use Canvas, how to access the lectures and assignments and exams and everything like that, let's quickly go over the syllabus. This is the way that Canvas is going to be structured. So each week has certain lectures and assignments in them. As we scroll down, you can see week 3 is going to be our busiest week. This is going to be a normal semester is 14 weeks. This is 6 weeks. We're still going to do everything you would do in 14 weeks, just quicker. Week 3 will be a long week, but it's not, I guarantee it's not impossible. And if you make time for it, you will succeed and it will get easy. So let's first look at our syllabus here. So to access the syllabus, just click on that link. It'll bring this up. You can click on this to download the actual document if you want. You don't have to, but here is my email address right here. I monitor this and the Slack channel almost all the time. The only time you will not get a quick response from me is if you try to contact me at 10 o'clock at night or 3:30 in the morning, is I will be asleep. But if you contact me during normal hours, I usually get back to you fairly quickly. I do have an office here on campus, but I don't see you needing to see me in person. If you do, though, we can make an appointment. I will have office hours through Zoom, and I will put a Zoom link in the announcement page. It'll just be a recurring Zoom meeting that happens every Friday from 1 to 2:30. All you have to do is click on it, and it'll bring you to the meeting, and I'll be there in person. If you have any questions, we can talk about it. So this class is going to be completely online and asynchronous. What this means is you can, if you really want to, you can listen to the lectures at your own pace. You can do them however you want to. I've created a schedule and I've placed the lectures in certain modules by week because that's how I feel would best serve you. But if you want to do them quicker, if you want to work ahead, that's perfectly fine. We do have permanent due dates. We do have due dates for assignments and exams. The assignments are all open right now, and you can do them all at once if you want to, but there are set due dates for those. We'll go over those. It's similar with the exams. They will be opened up at least 24 hours before they're due, some 48 to 78 hours or 72 hours before they are due. So you'll have 1 to 2 days to sit down and take them, but they are due at a certain date and time. And we'll go over those when we go over the schedule. So for those of you wondering if you should be in this course, it's planned for undergraduate students of the Kin department. It is a requisite for graduation. And the prerequisites for this class are an undergrad anatomy course, either Bio 271 or Kinesiology 291. You should have a good understanding of anatomy prior to taking this class. You don't necessarily need to know every single part of the human body and its purpose and how it works and like that, but you should, if I say humerus or if I say bicep brachii, you should have a good idea what those are. This is just our objectives for this class. Purpose is to introduce you guys to kinesiology and the concepts of biomechanics as they apply to human movement. We'll just be looking at humans in this class. I do know that biomechanics you can take wherever you want. I know if you're planning on going to veterinarian school, you're going to need to know biomechanics. If you're looking at healing and training animals, biomechanics is still important. Engineering, if you're developing an interface that's going to be required a human to use it, you're going to need to know biomechanics. But essentially the outcomes is you'd be able to describe with precise, well-defined mechanical and anatomical kinesiology, describe motion, understand the basic muscle properties. When we go over some of this stuff, some of it will be similar if you've taken an exercise physiology course. When we start going over muscle properties, some of these terms might be, excuse me, might be familiar to you. We also will go over linear and angular kinetic and kinematic principles. So this is where kind of the math part of this class gets into. We will be going into math. We won't be going into very tricky stuff. I won't ask you to do a whole bunch of calculus problems, but you should have a good understanding of basic trigonometry and algebra. It's nothing beyond if you took like a first-year physics course in undergrad already, or you took it in high school. It's mostly if you're comfortable with algebra and beginner's trigonometry, you'll do fine. If it's been a while since you've done stuff like this, I'd suggest possibly going onto YouTube and looking at Khan Academy videos on how to solve a triangle, when to use sine, cosine, tangent, how to calculate work, power, basic algebraic steps. Once again, we'll be going over this, and there's homework and assignments to guide you in these math principles. And my lectures will go step by step on how to use them and solve things. But if it's been a while, you might want to brush up on it. Those would be some resources I would go to. You should also be able to understand the implications for studying the amount and structures of movement variability in biomechanical and rehabilitative research. This is a relatively new topic. Looking at variability in movement, we will have a lecture just on that, and be able to describe several of the neural mechanisms that control human movement. We still make the assumption that the brain controls the body. So being able to understand how the nervous system is integrated into human movement will be taught in this class. Teaching strategies, it's all online in asynchronous form. You do not need a textbook for this class. I'm supplying all the lecture notes and material. They're all on Canvas right now. There is a textbook that if you really would like a textbook, if you're planning on going to grad school and having a focus be on exercise science, kinesiology, biomechanics, the more clinical routes as far as athletic trainer, personal trainer, physical therapy, occupational therapy, stuff like that. Having a good biomechanics textbook would serve you well. This is a good one right here. It's not required, but if you want to go to a used bookstore, or go to Amazon and find a used copy of it, you could probably find it fairly cheap, and having one just to keep with you would serve you well. As far as attendance go, I'm not taking attendance. Once again, this is online asynchronous, so I'm not tracking how often you go onto Canvas. This schedule we're going to look at, I have it mapped out from Monday through Thursday for the full 6-week course. I would suggest you try to stick to that schedule so that you don't get behind. But these are the things, this is kind of the schedule I would look at. I'm not keeping attendance. There's a typo right here, and it will be fixed by the time you're looking at the actual schedule. There is no cumulative final exam. There are simply 3 exams, 5 assignments. So this needs to be updated. I apologize about that. And an applied biomechanics paper, which we'll talk about. But this is how your grade will be determined. There's 3 exams, each worth 100 points. The 3rd exam will be a bit cumulative, but will also include some new topics that we hadn't discussed prior. These will include movement variability and the neural mechanisms for motion control. There's 5 assignments. These 5 assignments are mostly mathematical assignments. We're looking at the mechanics of motion. They're worth 25 points apiece. And then there's an applied biomechanics paper, which I'll go into closer to the end of this video. And then this is how your grade is determined. If you get 90 to 100%, that's an A, 80 to 89.9%, that's a B, so on and so on. I don't curve grades that are earned during these things. What you earn is what you earn. I've stated it specifically below too. Due to this being an abbreviated course, late work will be, it's going to be hard to turn in late work. After the deadline is passed, anything that you turn in will then be worth half of what it was originally worth. And then 24 hours past that, 5 points will be deducted. It's going to be, I try to get you your graded work back quickly so that you can use it and learn from it. Turning in late, it's going to be difficult to do during an abbreviated course. So try to get your work turned in on time. If you know ahead of time at the beginning of the semester, hey, something's going to occur during week 3 and I might need an extension, contact me soon. Do not wait to the last minute to contact me. Don't wait till 5 minutes before exam 2 is due and say, oh, I can't make it. So try to contact me sooner rather than later. There is a single extra credit opportunity available. And upon completion of this, you can earn up to 10 points or 2% of your overall grade. The extra credit is due, we'll see on the schedule, is due the day before your last exam. And we'll see that on the schedule. There are 2 ways to do this. First, you can participate in a study on campus. If I hear of some, I will try to post their flyers on Canvas so you can locate them. If there aren't, however, you can also write a critique on one of the 3 science papers I've posted or study papers I've posted on Canvas, and we'll look at those and write a 500 to 750 word critique or response paper to this paper's rationale, methodology, interpretation of the findings, and kind of their conclusions. This paper is not meant to be you summarizing what this paper said. You're supposed to critique it. So when I say the paper's rationale, they're going to say, well, we're completing this because this problem or topic is important. It's important to this population, this sport, what have you. I'm asking you to critique that rationale. They're saying they're going to be using these methods. They're going to do this test. They're going to look at range of motion of this joint, and it's important for these reasons. I'm asking you to critique that. Do you agree with it or not? Why do you agree with it or not? And not necessarily your opinion, but logically, does that make sense? And then interpretation of the findings. And then, is there anything in these papers that could be lacking? A good way to look at this too. And it's changing for the better, but, a lot of the scientific research and scientific studies, especially in athletics, it's used a lot of 18 to 25 male athletes. Those are very different, have very different problems than 18 to 25 female athletes, than above 40 athletes or pediatric athletes. So sometimes we overreach and say, well, this will work for all soccer players. Most definitely won't. So let's continue on. The exam format, mostly multiple choice. And at the end, there'll be 1 to 2 short answer / essay questions. For the short answer essay questions, using details is your friend. There'll be no drawing or labeling, but they're usually worth 10 to 20 points of the exam. So using details is important. And there are lectures for review for each exam, which I'll kind of hit the key points of what will be on the exam prior to you taking it. The assignments, 5 assignments throughout the semester on Canvas, so they're already posted. You can do them as soon as you want, but they do have set due dates. Some of them require you, all of them require, if there's a calculation, you have to clearly show your work. I cannot give you full points if you just give me the answer. And this brings up another point, this is online, and we have had things in the past of people going on to websites such as Chegg or Course Hero, and they'll look up these problems and they will either give me a screenshot of that or they'll just copy it down like that. That is not acceptable in college, and it does carry the risk of a lot of grave consequences, from receiving a 0 on the assignment all the way to being expelled from the school. So I'd highly suggest you don't do that, and you're using your own work. And you can do this in 2 ways. All of these are in Word documents. You can use Microsoft Word's equation editor to type out the math work on this. If you don't know how to do that, feel free to get in contact with me. I'd be more than happy to show you. I prefer using this stuff like that. I think it looks more professional, it's more clear, easier to follow, and it's not a bad idea to get a new skill under your belt before you graduate. But you can also write everything out by hand on a separate piece of paper. Just indicate, okay, what question are you working on? What was the question, so I can follow along? And then you can use a picture from your phone or a scanner and submit, and then copy that to an MS Word document and submit that. Just make sure that any of your handwork is clear, that I can follow. It's not, I don't have to work to follow what you were trying to do there or what question you were working on or anything like that. And then finally, at the end of the semester, this is due the last day of the semester, July 21st, is an applied biomechanics paper. The goal of this paper is to demonstrate your understanding of a biomechanical concept discussed in class as they apply to real world activity. What I'm essentially asking you, and we'll go into a little bit more depth later in this video, is pick a movement, human movement, any movement you want. I would say is don't pick something that's so simple as curling your forearm, doing a bicep curl sort of thing. Going to need something a little bit more complicated than that, but you don't necessarily need to go into a very, very complicated movement that would take you an entire textbook to discuss. But what you're going to be doing, and we'll talk about later, is essentially you're going to introduce this movement. What is the purpose of this movement? Where is it used? Why is it used? Why is it important? And then you're going to simply say, I want to improve a person's performance on this. I want to teach this to somebody. I want to improve the performance, or you're looking at injury prevention or injury rehabilitation during this movement. And you're going to apply that and use biomechanics to discuss how you would do this. And the whole time rationalizing this. You don't necessarily need to go look up peer-reviewed research, and provide a whole bunch of citations, but you should be using biomechanics for this discussion. And we'll talk about it a little bit later in this video. For late work, if any assignment or exam is turned in past 11:59 on the day it is due, half the points of this assignment will be deducted automatically. Furthermore, for every 24 hours after the first day late, starting at 24 hours after that deadline, whether it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, an additional 2 points will be deducted. This is done simply because I try to get you your graded work back on time. And if you give it to me late, I can't get it to you on time. And then you're forever kind of behind in the course. You're not getting your feedback. So I highly suggest make sure that you pay attention to the dates everything is due. If you know a week ahead of time that something is not going to happen, you have to go do something else, then by all means try to contact me. But I cannot bend from this unless an extension has been given prior to the due date. For the examinations, we'll go through the schedule once again, but these will all be online on Canvas. You can do them on your computer. You do not need a lockdown browser, anything like that. I will ask you to place your name at the end of an academic integrity statement, but you'll be able to complete them on Canvas, and you'll have 2 hours to complete each exam. But this 2 hour starts as soon as you click begin exam. There's a 2 hour timer. As soon as you click begin exam, it starts. If you walk away from your computer, it keeps going. If you close your window, it automatically submits your exam. So make sure that you schedule the time so that you have at least 2 hours to sit through the entire exam. 2 hours is a lot of time. You shouldn't need more than 2 hours to complete each exam. Each exam is opened on Canvas at 5 p.m. Usually a couple of days before it's due, and then it closes at 11:59 p.m. the day that is indicated on the schedule. So make sure that you're able to schedule 2 hours of your time during that period to take the exam. Most of everything else here is boilerplate language, so I won't go over that. So before we get into the rest of this stuff, let's quickly go over the schedule. So once again, we'll go to the home page here. Here's the schedule. You can download it as well by clicking this link here. And here's the schedule. So this is the first week. So after watching this video, you should look at these two lectures here. We'll go over an introduction to biomechanics and review of math that we'll be using in this class. I go over pretty much throughout the semester. I go through all the math we'll ever use, but this first step is a good review. And then if after looking at this, you're still not sure about what I was talking about, feel free to contact me, get in touch with me, or once again, kind of go YouTube, Khan Academy, intro to algebra, YouTube playlist, and it should help. Your first assignment is due June 20th at 11:59 p.m. Every time something is due, it'll be right here and it'll be in bold. And then we'll have a few lectures, and I'll show you how to access the lectures in just a bit. First exam is going to be opened up on Canvas on June 23rd, but it'll close on 11:59 on June 27th. So during that almost 4 day period, you'll have to schedule 2 hours for yourself to take this exam. And then because this is abbreviated, we'll also have a lecture around this time as well. We won't have it, it's available now, but I would suggest watching this lecture as well. These are just suggestions. Anything that's not bolded is a suggestion to you to help you stay on track. So we have the assignment for number 2 on the 28th, 3 on the 30th. Once again, July 4th is Independence Day, so no class, but if you're not going anywhere and you're bored and you're looking for something to do, get a head start on the assignments. Get a head start on some of the lectures. After the Independence Day break, assignment 4 is due. Then we will close out with the last 3 lectures, including an exam 2 review. And then after that, I'm giving you time to work on your biomechanics concept paper. And then assignment 5 is due on July 11th. Then you'll take exam 2, and then we'll have an exam 3, but everything else is time for you to work on your term project paper. The last exam is due July 18th. It's going to open up at 5 p.m. on July 14th and be due to be done by 11:59 p.m. on July 18th. And you'll have a little bit more time. The second to the last day of class, if you completed any extra credit, it needs to be submitted to me in some way before 11:59 p.m. That just gives me time to enter it into the grade book. And then the last day of class, your applied biomechanics paper is due by 11:59 on the 21st of July. I've placed this here. That's when exams are supposed to happen for the second summer session. But also they need to be in there because I need time to grade them, because the grades are due to the UNC registrar by July 25th at 5 p.m. So I need time to make sure you actually get a grade for this class. There's going to be 33 or 34 of you in this class for this session. So I have to read a lot of papers somewhat quickly. So I make sure that I get them to the registrar on time so that when you look up your grade for this class, there is a grade and not nothing. So just make sure you can print this off and post it on your fridge or on a calendar to make sure that these are, you understand the due dates for these. So let's go back to the homepage again. This is the applied biomechanics instructions and rubric, okay? So feel free to read these on your own time as well, but it's a fairly simple paper. So I'll just read this. The goal of this project is to demonstrate your understanding of biomechanical concepts discussed in class as they apply to real world activity. Your task is to choose any human movement, said human movement twice, and analyze this movement and incorporate several biomechanical concepts that were taught in class and apply it to your movement. So once again, this could be in any setting you want. It could be in the recreation setting, it could be in sports, it could be in performance, you know, if you're looking at becoming a trainer, performance enhancement, rehabilitative, any real setting you want, and use that, but using biomechanics to discuss this movement. When I say concepts, concepts such as, are you working to increase the amount of force you can produce while squatting, the amount of velocity of throwing a baseball, increasing your height in a pole vault. All this stuff is, how would you train somebody to do this, or how can it be done to achieve these goals, but using biomechanical concepts to discuss this. So the requirements are a minimum of 1,000 words, single space. So that's about maybe a page, page and a half, 1-inch margins, and 12-point Times New Roman font. And here's how it's going to be graded. We're grading it according to the Bloom's taxonomy. So you get 7 points per level here. First 7 points, define your activity you'll be discussing and the biomechanical concepts. So what is the activity you're talking about? What is the motion you're talking about? What concepts are you using to discuss this movement? 7 points for understanding clearly and concisely explain the problem or question you are asking about this activity. So what is the main problem? What I would suggest is come up with a problem statement. What problem are you trying to solve? If you have a problem statement, the rest of the paper gets easier. State what you are trying to solve. Why is this movement unique or important? What is necessary for this movement to be successful? And finally, how does your biomechanical concepts that you've chosen to use help you answer the question or solve the problem? Provide detailed rationalization of why your chosen concepts are important. Then you're going to give me an analysis. What defines a good or bad movement in your activity using those concepts? And then use chosen concepts to discuss how you can judge this movement of what defines a successful movement. You'll get another 7 points for your evaluation section. You're justifying your position. Is there data that supports your analysis or conclusion? If there is, feel free to cite it, provide an APA citation for it. More than happy for that, but you don't necessarily have to use data for this. You can almost use, after you learn this stuff, you'll be able to logically rationalize your decision. And then finally, use this information to create a novel performance improvement or rehabilitation modality. And then how might your chosen concepts be used to increase performance in this moment? Discuss how and why an injury with this movement may occur, or provide discussion on the efficacious of your therapeutic modality or one that's already been developed for treatment of an injury, anything like that. So this is really up to your topic, is really up to you. And I'm just looking on these papers, I'm looking, you understand the biomechanics you're talking about. Your logic is thorough and sound, and it follows an understandable path. This is the grading rubric for it. You'll see this when I grade your projects for you, and you'll see little notes along your project, but each point is worth 7 points. And then finally, spelling and grammar is just worth 8 points to round up to 100 points, or total of 50, but out of 100 points, or out of 100%, excuse me. And then when you're done with it, you'll submit it here. Click on term paper. Here's talking about it, but you'll submit it in here. One thing I will say is this is for all your submitting works. Your files need to be in a .doc, .docx, or PDF format. The .doc and .cox are the standard Microsoft Word file types. .pdf is something you'd open up with the Adobe PDF reader. This is important that you submit them in these file types, because if you don't, most computers can't open up any other type of file type. And then Canvas can't open them up like that either. So it's very important that you submit work in a DOC, DOCX, or .pdf file type. Usually when you save your work, especially if you're using Word, it'll say, how do you want to save this? Make sure it's saved in one of these. If you're using Google Docs to do this, when you save your work, you go up to File and Save. It'll ask you how you want to save it. Try to save it under one of those. Otherwise, if you submit it as a .pages file, if you're on a Mac, or a Google Doc, and you try to upload it to Canvas, I won't be able to actually see it. And then I'll have to get in touch with you saying, hey, you've got 5 minutes to resubmit your work or something like that, if it's getting close to the due date. Go back. I have all this. So these are the 3 studies that you can use for extra credit. If I find out about any studies on campus that you can participate in, I will list them here as well. But if you choose to write a critique paper, this is where you're going to submit it. Make sure you submit it in one of those 3 file types. And then after that, I have everything by week here. Now you can watch or do the lectures in one of 2 ways. You can download the PowerPoint here. So if we go to the first lecture, Intro to Biomechanics, and the internet will eventually bring up this slides here, okay? And you can look at it through here. What I would suggest is downloading it. The way these PowerPoints are is there's white boxes all through these PowerPoints and animations. So if you're just looking at it through Canvas, you will not be able to see those. The PowerPoints will look incomplete. But if you click on this link here, the PowerPoint file will automatically download to your computer, and you can open it up there and then open it up as a slideshow. Or if you don't want to do that, it's perfectly acceptable. If you don't want to do that, you can click on the video links here. These will bring you to a YouTube site where all of the lectures are, and you can simply play them. You can play them at twice speed if you don't want to sit through the whole hour lecture. You want it to go faster, that's fine. It'll bring you to the video and it will run as if it's a lecture. I've narrated all the slides, so it will run as if it's a lecture. So there's two ways you can watch the lectures here. For the assignments, right here, this is, see, a review for exam 1. For the assignments here, this right here is the assignment. Click on this link right here. It will download the assignment to your computer. It's a Microsoft Word file. You can print it off if you want. You can use Equation Editor to solve everything on it if you want, whatever you want to do. And then you will upload your assignments here as well. There'll be a little upload button for you. And for each assignment, I make a little video for those. Follow this to the YouTube link. There will be a little video talking about the assignment, kind of tips and tricks on how to solve this stuff, what I'm looking for, everything like that. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody. Said week 3 is the busy week. This is where we get into the physics of movement, mechanics of movement. Week 4 is a bit lighter. There's only 3 main lectures in the assignment. Week 5, just review for the last exam, take the second exam, 1 more assignment. Week 6, your exam review, and the term project. Lastly, for each of the exams, especially for the second exam, which is more math heavy, I've provided a cheat sheet. If you click on this, there's a PDF file right here. It has all your conversion ratios, trig formulas, and equations that you'll use in this class. Feel free to keep this open in a separate window. You can print it out and keep it on the table next to you. You can look at this and copy it out onto a scrap piece of paper. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not looking for you to memorize equations. I am looking for you to understand how to use these equations. Right? This one right here, angular momentum. There may be a question where I give you, certain pieces of this, but you have to rework this equation somehow to find an answer. So feel free to use this. I'm not asking you to memorize all these different equations. Let's go back to home and see if I missed anything. I don't think I did. That is it. Oh, one last thing. Announcements. You won't see any of these announcements because this is my view of Canvas, but I have already placed these announcements. These are announcements telling you, hey, something's coming due. This is our last week. Anything like that. Is make sure that you can receive announcements from Canvas. This will be my main form of communication with the class as a whole, because I'm not going to interview or email everyone separately. So make sure you read these announcements. They will alert you of due dates or changes to the class in some way. So make sure to read those. And then the link to the Slack channel will also be in the announcements. You should have gotten some already. I have a couple set to release the day the class is open. It's going to release, it's already released now, but it'll be released at midnight on June 16th. So I hope this has been helpful. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me through Slack. So hope it helped, and goodbye.